There are moments in life when the world seems to stop. Moments when someone you've come to know, to trust, to welcome into your mornings suddenly isn't there anymore. That's exactly what happened the day Jenna Bush Hager's chair on the Today Show sat empty. No laughter, no radiant smile, no Jenna, just silence. At first, everyone thought it was temporary. Television hosts take vacations, they take breaks, they rest. But this felt different. Her co-hosts spoke gently, avoiding details, leaving a cloud of mystery hanging in the studio. And as days stretched into weeks, whispers began. Concern grew. What had happened to Jenna? Why did she step away so suddenly? And then the truth came out. A heartbreaking revelation that peeled back the layers of fame and public life, revealing something profoundly human. To understand the depth of her confession, one must go back to where it all began. Jenna Bush Hager was never just an ordinary woman entering television. She was born into history. The daughter of President George W. Bush and granddaughter of President George H.W. Bush. Jenna had lived her entire life under the bright, relentless spotlight of public attention. Imagine being a child whose every step, every mistake, every triumph is photographed, critiqued, and discussed at tables you've never even sat at. For Jenna, that was everyday life. Yet even then, there was a spark in her spirit that set her apart. A desire to be seen not just as a Bush, not just as a name, but as a person with her own identity and voice. That journey of self-discovery eventually led her to writing, to teaching, and finally to the Today Show. And when she arrived, something magical happened. Viewers realized Jenna wasn't the polished, guarded host they were used to. She was real. She laughed loudly, sometimes too loudly. She cried openly. She stumbled over words, then laughed at herself. And in that imperfection, people found connection. But being real on television is both a gift and a burden. Behind Jenna's laughter and brightness, she was carrying something heavy, something that would eventually lead to her heartbreaking confession. Her sudden absence from the show wasn't about career politics or workplace drama. It wasn't even about burnout in the usual sense. No, this was something deeply personal, something profoundly human. During her time away, Jenna revealed she had been struggling. She faced emotional challenges tied to family, health concerns, moments of fear, and the overwhelming weight of trying to be everything at once. A daughter, a wife, a mother, a friend, all under the constant gaze of the public eye. How many of us have felt the pressure of juggling responsibilities, the guilt of not being able to do it all? Now imagine doing that while the world watches your every move. It became too much. Her confession was raw and deeply human. She needed to step back, not just for herself, but for the people she loved most. In saying that, she spoke aloud a truth many of us live in silence. Sometimes love means letting go of something you thought you couldn't live without. Sometimes strength looks like stepping
Jenna's story
away.
even more powerful was how she shared it. She didn't dramatize her pain. She didn't present herself as a victim. She spoke as a woman who had lived through joy and sorrow and had chosen to put family first. She remembered her late grandmother, Barbara Bush, who once said, "At the end of your life, you'll never regret not having passed one more test, won one more verdict, or closed one more deal. You will regret time not spent with your husband, your children, your friends, or your parents." Those words echoed in Jenna's heart. And in that echo, she made her decision. She chose absence on television in exchange for presence at home. And in that decision, she rediscovered her priorities, her identity, and her truth. But her story didn't end there. Her absence revealed something profound. how much viewers had relied on her presence, how much her laughter brightened their mornings, how much her vulnerability reminded them of their own humanity. When she finally returned, something extraordinary happened. Fans didn't just welcome her back, they embraced her, flaws and all, more deeply than ever. Her absence had become a bridge, connecting her more authentically to the people who had missed her. Sometimes when we step away, we return not forgotten, but cherished even more. Jenna's story reaches beyond television, beyond celebrity. It's a mirror for anyone who has ever felt torn between duty and love, between work and family, between who the world expects you to be and who your heart knows you are. How many of us have faced that choice? To push forward because the world demands it, or to pause, breathe, and tend to those who matter most? Jenna's courage was in choosing the latter, even when it meant whispers, questions, and criticism. And here's the surprising part. What began as a heartbreaking absence became a story of hope. Jenna's time away gave her perspective, clarity, and the strength to return. Not as a perfectly polished host, but as the same Jenna viewers had always loved. Real, flawed, human, resilient. She returned with stories not just about headlines or celebrities, but about life, about the tears she shed, the fears she faced, and the joy she rediscovered. She returned with gratitude, knowing that even in her absence, people cared enough to worry, to wait, to hold space for her. And isn't that what we all long for? To know that when we step away, even for a time, we're still held in the hearts of those who matter. So why did Jenna Bush Hager step away from the Today Show? Because behind the camera, behind the laughter, she was living the same story many of us live. A story of love, sacrifice, and the realization that life is too precious to waste on things that don't truly matter. Her heartbreaking confession wasn't a sign of weakness, it was a testament to strength, courage, and hope. Hope that by sharing her truth, someone watching would feel a little less alone. And maybe, just maybe, that someone is you.